It's a beautiful night.
My name is Brody.
And I'm Jules.
And it's time to think outside.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since the dawn of time, man has looked to the stars.
Yep.
Now, in terms of that, they used it for navigation, or farmers used stars to determine what type of season it was. So that's what we're mainly going to be talking about today.
Okay, that's cool.
So
There's a lot of stars out right now.
I know, yeah, it's really pretty.
Yeah.
Now, Julian, I want to ask you just one question. Do you
What's that?
know how constellations got their names?
Does it have to do with like the? My best guess is like the Romans.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty good. I mean, they originated. They date going back to the Roman Empire, and even earlier than that, like pretty much like distant human civilization.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. They're not really sure how far back that goes, but that's a pretty good guess there.
Okay.
I'm pretty impressed. So, I did mention that farmers used constellations. Now, I'm going to go in more depth as far as that goes. Now, most farmers know that for crops, you plant them, at specific seasons, like spring,
Yeah.
and or in the fall.
Okay.
Now, in some regions, it's hard to differentiate which season it is. I mean, back then, they couldn't really determine. So what they would do is they would look at which constellations were out at the night sky,
Yeah.
and they'd be like, okay, cool, it's spring because Leo and Cancer are out, so it has to be, And that's what's really cool. And when I did research on this, I did not know that you could differentiate, what season it is based off of what constellations are out. So now I get to use that information, when I'm like, oh, cool. So I can tell that it's spring because these 3 constellations are out. So
Yeah, which you were doing the other night. You
Yeah.
were telling me, you can tell it's spring because this is going on, this is going on.
yeah, and I mean, unless we have a lot of city pollution out here, so it's kind of hard to see. Now, one constellation that's out right now is Orion, and it's really big right now. And he comes out, generally towards the beginning of spring, which is really cool. So now I'm like, cool. Now I know that it's spring.
Yeah. And it's in a certain position.
Yeah,
so,
it's
right?
always usually in like the same area, which is really cool. And when I did research on that too, they don't know why the stars are positioned exactly like that and why they always stay at a fixed location. I'm pretty sure there's more research I could have done to figure that out, but from just what I gathered, they really don't know why they stay in that exact area of the night sky all the time. So I always found that really interesting. Now, constellations were also used for navigation as well. So like early explorers like Columbus, they used a sextant, and they would find the northern star, or they would find a certain constellation, and they're like, okay, cool. They'll just use that instrument. And then I'm not sure how sextants are used, honestly, because I didn't do research on them. I just know that was the type of instrument early navigators used. And they would just look for the northern star and be like, okay, cool. So we're just going to plot on this map and we know where we're going. Nowadays we have GPS and satellite, but
Right.
you can still to this day look at constellations and stars if you know how to plot and be like, cool, I know which way north is, or I know where I'm going based off of
So do you know what the North Star is?
I honestly do not know. I read about it, but I do not remember the name of it. It was it started with a P or something. I can't really remember exactly what. Oh, it was Polaris?
Oh, Polaris.
Polarius, I think. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but it was that star. That's the northern star that is always prominent in the night sky.
Gotcha.
Now, some historians suspect that many of the myths associated with constellations were invented, to help farmers, remember them. So, like, Orion obviously is a hunter.
Yeah.
Now, or Leo, the lion, or the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. Now, they may not look like their shapes, but that's the cool thing about the imagination. You
Right.
can be like, cool, this is Orion, and he was a hunter, and he did this.
Well,
and this.
it's a very human thing to associate anything with some kind of pattern or anything with some kind of shape that's familiar to what we see
Yeah.
in life.
Yeah, especially I think that's why the Romans, I think they used maybe their gods that they had at the time, and they were like, okay, that's this constellation, and that's this name for this one, and then they evolved over the years, but we always recognize the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. I mean, everyone, you don't have to be an astronomer to know that that's the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. You learn that when you're a little kid, so that's what's really cool about them. They've never changed. They've always been that way.
Oh, cool.
Now, here's a little fun fact for you.
Fun fact.
There are a total of 88 constellations that are recognized by astronomers today. 88.
That's a lot more than I thought.
Yeah,
I thought there was like 10.
Yeah, I thought there was only I don't even know the names of all of the constellations that are out there, but it's crazy that there are 88.
I can name you like 5.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
And I could at least pick out 2.
Yeah, I honestly, as far as constellations go, I don't know the exact names of all of them, but that's a lot to remember. Mm-hmm. So, another little fun fact for you, just because I like giving you fun facts. Astronomers have never been able to tell how far apart a star is from one another. That is the one question astronomers have never been able to answer since pretty much the dawn of time, since astronomers have...
Well, it's because when you see a constellation, they all look like it's like a connected dot situation.
But they could be
really spread out.
Billions of light years or miles apart from each other.
Yeah.
But when we're looking at it from the Earth's perspective, they line up perfectly. And that's what's really cool about stars and space and in general is that that's how it works out. And it's cool that certain stars will appear in certain seasons, and that just trips me out that there's so much to the universe and space, and it trips me out. And I really enjoyed delving into this subject because I was never really interested in it, but when I started gathering all this information, I was like, man, there is so much like knowledge that I never knew about, and I'm really happy that I delved into it, and I hope you and you guys are just as intrigued as I am. Now, you can do your own research too. I watched a BBC documentary about constellations. Now that was an earful, but it really it taught me a lot about it. So I enjoyed doing this research for the show. It was really fun. I don't know. I want to get your thoughts on constellations and what they mean to you as a night gazer, I guess.
Well, they're really nice to look at.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know what thoughts I can give you other than that.
Maybe if you're like a kid and you're like, oh, these are really cool,
Well, yeah, it's always fun to look at the stars and to see what you can see, pick out things like that. And not only that, but you have a lot of other things that you can see in the night sky. But aside from that, I honestly don't know too much about constellations. I'm able to pick out stars, but I don't know how to use that to my benefit.
Yeah.
I've never known how to pick out something and be like, okay, I know the season, or I know that points north.
Yeah.
That's something that I really want to learn because it can help me with some kind of survival stuff.
Yeah, I mean that goes into, if your GPS runs out or you can't read a map, if you know how to look at the stars and it's a clear night, you're good to go, and that's what's really cool about them. So, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I think tickled your brain a little bit today with some knowledge.
My brain is always tickled when you give me all this info, Brandon.
That's the goal.
Well,
so
guys, if your brain was tickled as well, let us know in the comments what you thought about all of this.
Yeah.
We'll probably do another episode in time about more stuff. There's always more we can expand on with these episodes.
Yeah, but just let us know. I mean, if you want to know more about constellations and you're that interested, we will make another video and I will delve deeper into this topic.
Yeah.
So
hey, make sure you like and subscribe. That'd be nice.
That would also be very nice, and share this around so other people can learn about constellations as well too.
Yeah, sharing the fun, sharing the learning, and we'll continue enjoying this night. But for now, like we always say, make sure that you preserve our parks
and to think and go outside.